Okay. Oh, I got my Streamlabs OBS over there. Just shifting it over. So, how's it going? My flux capacitor is fluxing. So, I guess I got to start off with a big old apology. Holy cow. I had no idea that my mic was switched off for 3 of my streams. So, there was no audio in those. I've got video footage that I can cut together and maybe overlay sort of a voiceover, but I might just sort of rebroadcast those. There was a skinning lecture, I believe, and there's some Maya LiveLink stuff. I'll probably need to go through that again. But hopefully for my students who attended, they were at least half attuned to the lecture. So they're going to have to sort of intuit what's going on from just the silent screen grabs. Or the silent video, rather. So, thankfully I've got it sorted. Like I said, I'm going to be spending a year or so getting familiar with Twitch streaming and broadcasting. I don't have like super fancy titles, or I can't sit and edit and cut these because my time is quite limited. If there was a way I could set up streams so it auto edits, that'd be fantastic. Okay, so it's been a bit of a crazy morning. Life tended to intrude this morning, but we're going to see if we can sort of dive in and continue where we left off with getting our Maya LiveLink working. Now, there are a few things, I might as well just add these to the PowerPoint with you guys so you guys can sort of follow along. So I'm just grabbing my screen grabs at the moment for that kind of lesson. And let's see, where's my live link? So there was no it's too early for this episode this morning because I was running around trying to sort out my son has got a bit of an injury, right? So I had to sort out doctors and all that kind of stuff this morning. But rest assured, we will get back to just discussing life, universe, and everything, especially in the context of the U.S. elections and sort of I think the anticlimactic victory of Joe Biden. Anticlimactic for a number of different reasons. I think one of them was the slow unfolding of the drama in and of itself. There wasn't an instantaneous declaration of a victor per se. And then, there are a few other things that were playing. But we'll talk about those perhaps tomorrow morning. Okay, so I'm just trying to track down the presentation. Now, I thought that I had it up. Let's have a quick look. I also had some bizarre internet issues this morning, and that has a lot to do with the fact that I have an internal network running on Powerline adapters. So for those of you who don't know what Powerline adapters are, they're basically plug-in modules that use your house's mains lead as LAN cables and send network signals back and forth. Now, the main problem with that, it sounds ideal. You can plug your network cable and use your house's wiring as your LAN wiring. The problem with that is signal noise, right? So it's not a clean data signal going through your network cables. It's mixed in with the power mains and whatever else. So every device that you have plugged into that one power mains is sending signals back and forth, and it can sometimes disrupt the data signals going through LAN. Having said that, that's pretty good. I'm really super impressed with this Powerline technology. It's been really, really good. Okay, so I'm just popping into my cinematography lectures here. I can't remember where we left off last week, guys, but we'll just sort of pick it up, I think. So some of the reactions from some of the students with the ability to connect Maya directly in with LiveLink. I believe the quote was cool. So I think a lot of the younger animators will really be stoked about this, the ability to to manipulate a character and see it fully textured, fully lit, moving around in real time, responding with probably less than 1 millisecond lag. So it's nice. It's a good way of working, especially because if you take a look at the way animators generally tend to work anyway, we work with proxy characters. Some of you guys might not know, but we don't work with a fully textured, fully detailed, high-res model. If we did, it would take forever to set a keyframe, right? So, I think having an Unreal Engine window open on the side, even if you weren't doing game animation, let's say you're doing animation for a feature film, right? Well, actually, maybe not feature film, because the mesh would be really dense anyway. But just being able to, if you're animated for television, maybe, something like a kid's property or something like that, children's cartoon, it'd be nice to be able to see the final look as you're manipulating the proxy geometry. And, we'll touch on that a little bit once we get this set up. So I'm going to walk you guys slowly through this, just getting a bit caught up. I'm thinking of separating my UE4 cinematics presentation into separate presentations, because the beginning has the setup of the level sequencer, and we talk a little bit about the structure of sequential storytelling or sequential narrative projects. That's what they call sort of television series. So here I get into connecting Maya, big question mark. And I think this is where I wanted to get into setting up the Maya connections, right? Because then we get into the cinematography and then the previs. Oh yeah, this is getting into the nitty-gritties of the previs. Shot previews, camera streaming, cool. Just double checking later on down the line, because there's the live link workflow. I think this was for manipulating camera data, right? So yeah, this shows plugin installation, and I believe I'm just connecting. Oh yeah, I've done an asset test. This was 2018, and I talked a bit about the LookDev workflow, introduction to UE4 Live Link fundamentals. So this was definitely for cinematography. Yeah, so it's a little bit all over the place. Initially, it was meant to be a singular tutorial on setting up the Live Link process, but as the Live Link technology evolved, well, I'm just in the process of updating it, so I'm going to have to separate these guys out, I think. Oh, there's my Live Link Animation Maya demo. Which I think would take over from the other demo. Yeah, so this is the recent one. So yeah, let's grab these guys here. There's the Unreal Engine build tool. This is if you had to build the Live Link yourself. Character prep. Oh no, it's all like one big thing, right? So we go into the UI, we download. Ah, yeah. Okay, so this is more like Live Link Maya. And load and install plugin. Ooh, pluring plugin. So that's this whole section, right? So we've got the download, setting up the plugin, manually building Maya Live Link for 2020. I tried it, didn't work. There are a few different things that I'll need to problem solve and investigate that. It wasn't as straightforward as I thought it would be, which is unfortunate, but that's okay. I will document that as we go. There's my character prep. So we're selecting the third person template, and we've got the project settings, and then we go into our rendering after that. So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab this whole section here because I think that needs to go a little bit earlier. There's my setup. Live link. That's the rendering. And then the rest of that was the motion builder setup, which is something I get into a little bit later. Wow, there's a lot of info here. Okay, I'm going to try to shift this earlier because I think It belongs where that Maya question mark slide was. Let's pop this up there. So, creating a look dev workflow. Shot previs. Cool. Yeah, I think before the previs, we need to get into the live link stuff, right? So there's animation connecting Maya. There we go. This is right after shot organization. Cool. There was something about using the live link workflow inside a level sequencer asset. I can't quite recall what it was, but let's figure it out when we get down there, eh? Okay, so prepping the character, right? So we set up our third person, right, project. This is a quick note on setting up rendering. I'm thinking maybe we should move this guy down. Shot blocking. What did I do here? I'm a little bit lost now. Camera streaming. Ah, did I miss a whole bunch of slides? That's the motion builder setup. Live Mobu. This is the level sequencer. Yeah, usually, guys, I'm a little bit more organized than this. Perhaps I thought I was a little bit further along in here. That's okay. So we've duplicated that. Let's continue this live link setup here. Just going to double check again. I'm going to actually delete this. So I've got a marker here. And then we'll continue putting the screenshots in here. So there's animation. This is shot organization. That's cool. That makes logical sense. Timeline, acts, setup, level sequencer stuff. Yeah, cool. All right. So I'm going to pop in and we'll pick it up from this guy here. Okay. So I'm just going to go into my screen grabs and we'll see if we can move some of these guys over. All right. I'm going to pop over into my Google Drive and we'll take a look at my lecture materials. And I know it's probably boring walking through this, so what I'll probably do is stop this stream and skip over to the next chapter where I dive in and just start doing some work straight away. But let's see if we can get some of these images linked up and set up, right? Okay, so now I should have a corresponding, so this is our first setup. There we go. That's that one. Perfect. Okay. So here, just going to drag these guys in. So again, this is just rehashing the plugin setup stuff. I think I'll just pop these guys down here like this. No, it's plugins for 2019, right? And then checking to make sure it's all good. I'm going to stick these all on one slide. So here we've got Unreal Engine. We're activating the LiveLink plugin there. Then we're transferring all of our plugin files from the Unreal Engine folder into the Maya plugins location. Then we're going inside of Maya into settings and preferences, plugin manager, and then we are just activating So that'll be my rehash slide. I go over all that, and then we'll. It's good. It's nice to sort of walk through all this stuff anyway. And so I'm going to, that's checking the plugin. Not setting, creating a shelf tool, right? That's pretty straightforward. It's this guy and this guy. So basically, you create a new shelf, or if you have like a shelf for, this is my animation shelf, you just reuse that, right? I've got one for AK animation. And you middle mouse button drag the old shelf button here, create it there, click it, and you will get the Live Link connection UI. So let's duplicate this slide and let's talk a little bit about the connection, which we had a little bit of difficulty with, and I'll make kind of note of that, I think, here. So let's go into, so I'll call this my side and Live Link Live Link, and then we'll say that on this side we are broadcasting, right? So the signal's coming out, and then we're going to set up a signal receiver inside of my Unreal. Let's bring this guy over. I'll call this UE4 side receiver, or receiving, at the very least, anyway, right? And then this opens up. Now, again, here you may have to wait a few minutes. So I believe a little bit later on, when I'm problem solving this guy, 1107, let's see if we can mix this in where I'm problem solving some of this stuff. Yeah, there we go. I found the slide. So I'm going to duplicate this. I was worried that I wouldn't be able to get this in the right place, but it's cool. I found it. Oh, it's a little bit slow just because I'm on the cloud. All right, so this is the one I'm after. So this slide kind of sums up a few niggly things that you won't find in tutorials or documentation, but little things that you run into. So sometimes data needs to be here in the Maya scene selected to be pushed through, right? And as well, the one thing that I forgot when I was setting up the character and the transmission is that I forgot to specify in here exactly what I want to send over, exactly what I want to transmit, right? So here you need the root of the skeleton, so you're transmitting that over, right? And in here, this may take about 30 seconds to, I didn't realize that. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time to find it. When it does, you'll see that it can read everything inside your Maya scene. So that's cool. Just going to double check, make sure I don't have any further notes about that. Nope, that's it. So I'm going to delete this, pop back up to where we were in our little workflow. Live link, there's that one. Okay, so did we do this one? Yeah, I think we did. So in here. Yeah, that's good enough. We got those in there. And so once that connection is established, then we just flip over into Unreal Engine and we start working on our connection here, right? So this one was interesting. It takes a little bit of an understanding of the structure of what's going on. So here's a straightforward opening up in the animation editor, right? So you got your timeline and all that stuff so you can edit animations. I'm going to talk a little bit about the structure in just a second. Ah, yes. So in this particular, let me label these. Let's call this using the mannequin. Okay, so using the mannequin. Right. So basically, I opened up the mannequin here just to check it out, right? And then let's take this. So there we go. We've got the mannequin, and we don't need 2 slides for this. I'm going to send that over there. And from here, we went to the preview mesh, right? And then just export it. Now, I wasn't sure if we would be able to pull the skeleton together with it, but yeah, it came through okay. I sort of knew it would, but I just wasn't 100% certain. Okay, let's move this actually, because I want to put these all on one slide. It just seems to be a little bit easier to see what that flow is. And then we send that out as an FBX mesh to a location where Maya can find it. And then we just bring that bad boy into Maya there, which is cool. And it should just come in mesh and bones, right? Oh, I've got 2 slides here. We only need this guy here, right? So I've got that using the mannequin, and well, we'll leave this one as a connection with Maya, and I'm going to duplicate this guy. We'll kill that, and back inside Unreal, right? So let me start labeling this guy up. I think I need I'm going to go through and grab a text box, because I think we're going to need one. So I'm going to copy this. We'll go down to where we left off, back in by here, right? So the basic structure of an animation asset in Unreal, right? Okay. So in here, we've got the third person character, BP, right? I'm going to talk a little bit about how this works. The third character, BP, in here, we need to select in Outliner, right? And the reason we do that is we want to come in here and drag that over. So to make this work, we need to go in, and part of the reason why we got the plugin, we need to go in and we need to add the live link skeletal mesh component, right? let me duplicate this. I'll drag this over. My Windows preview is not working, which is a little bit frustrating. No, I got that one already. So this guy is what? This guy is... Oh, yeah. Okay. So... next up is the... That's that one. So next up is the third person anim BP. Drives the character BP. Assembles all our anims. Right? So there's another animation blueprint that sort of creates a library of all of our animations, and that sort of drives our main character, right? So we want to get into the blueprint editor for that. Let's kill this and let's put that over there and need to open our anim graph. I had difficulty with this last week because I couldn't was. Yeah, it's been a while, guys. But managed to track it down. That's cool. And once we get into the anim graph, right, then it was just a matter of finding a live link pose and hooking that up, right? So this guy and this guy, right? Something like that. I don't care about making these PowerPoints pretty at this particular stage. Just getting the information sort of collated and in one place, right? Okay, so the connection's established, right? I'm just going to pop down to my further notes. Oh, yeah. I've got some clarity here. So let's pop back over here. Third person character BP. Yes, I'm going to add these notes. So we got this guy here. Add skeletal component, and here's a note for just a little bit of clarity. There. Live link skeletal animation component added, right? And a little note about it. I'm going to send this to the back. Oh. Bring forwards, yeah. Oh, one more. Bring forwards, one more. Bring forwards, one more. Just enlarge that. Just want to preserve that note there. Right. Just a little bit of information on that plugin. And that's going into that one. Just going to go back one because I've got this screen capture that shows how this works. So let me kind of walk this through. I'll expand this out. Right. So here we go. We got the third person BP here. and we've added our live link animation, skeletal animation component, and that's transmitting at the moment, right? Okay, and I talk a little bit about, yes, let's do this. So I'm going to duplicate this because I think this screen capture will be a little bit clearer into the other areas, right? And it's just this note that the live link component in the third person character BP is receiving its signals from here, right? The anim BP, right? And I believe I go in here. We talk a little bit about connecting this bad boy up. And let's duplicate this slide. Now I think we can probably jump straight to this one. And it's annotated, which makes it better than my earlier screen grab, but I'm going to go check my earlier screen grab and make sure I am not missing anything. We go in there, we connect that guy up, and yes, I'm going to duplicate the slide. Now, and oftentimes it's kind of interesting when it all seems quite logical to me right now as I'm sort of setting this up, but I find sometimes that when I go into sort of teach and I'm walking these things through, it gets a little bit confusing. Because it seems logical to me, but then later on I'll be like, oh, actually, there's a better way I can lay this out. Right? Okay, so here I would just want to talk about the animation BPs. Right? So if we go up a little bit further, let's go back. Yeah, so the animation files feed into the MMBP, right? So that's the basic structure. I do need myself a little bit of a refresher in terms of connecting up movesets and things like that. I mean, I was doing that way back in Motion Builder days, so it'll be interesting to see what changes have been made and what stayed relatively consistent. Okay, so now with all of that said and done, those guys are all hooked up. And then the next slide is just showing that we are indeed connected up inside of Maya, right? Oh, what did I do? Yeah. So it's this one. All these anims are connected to the NMBP. And we'll duplicate that slide. It's a bit of a repeat, but I meant to do this. In fact, we could probably get away with 2 images here. That shows the connection. And then how we can move stuff around and it's connected. You guys get the idea. So there's the head controls as well. This guy, this guy, this guy. Now that's just in the animation editor and the animation preview. For me, I just found that sort of useless. It's when you can do this, where you can manipulate the character inside the level editor, where it starts to have this sort of visual benefit, right? And this is the stuff that makes me excited, being able to animate the character inside here, right? And the rest are... There you go. So the rest is my update slides that describe a little bit more about what the data is doing as it connects from animations to AnimBP to the main character BP. And yeah, that's it. That's caught up. So I'm going to try and field test this. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to pop this over on the side and we'll follow through. But this time we will be connecting up a unique character instead, right? So let's try that, right? So I've got this whole section with the mannequin. Let me see where we ended up with the mannequin. Okay, so using the mannequin test, I'm going to duplicate that, and I'm going to move this guy down. Christ. Sometimes the problem with working with your Google Drive is just the latency, right? Which is cool. Okay, so third person character. All right. Okay, so having said that, I'm going to fire up Unreal, fire up Maya, and we're going to try this with a custom character. So if you've joined me for this ride, in terms of putting my PowerPoint together, it gives you sort of an overview of how things are going to work. The next one, we're just going to go through step by step and see if we can incorporate it. So I'll end that there, and we'll pop in again in just a second.